just on my own way, with never looking back to this world lived in fear. There was nothing I could do, there was nothing you said that could make me realize how much lucky I was. Just out of reach of the fire, was not aware of the nightmare. But when I stopped to see through sight, begging for help, begging for hope, just need to open my eyes now to try to change them to sunshine, to be someone among others. I can try. If I bleed tonight, if I exist tonight, I don't have the time to find. If I wait tonight, I'm so tired tonight, I fall asleep when I'm alone, when I'm alone. When you go, no one can see through that side of your eyes. I can see my life is crap, I have to see them too. I just live into my world, far from the pain, the feel. Was out of reach of desire, was not aware of the start of hell. But when I start to see through sight, begging for help, begging for hope, just need to open my eyes now to try to change them to sunshine, to be someone among us.
And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is Monday night. It is 7 p.m. and that means it is time for the Locker Room Breakdown. This is our Raw Perspective. I am OMD. Bubba Duke is on assignment tonight. And what a week. What a week we had last week. Capped off, as we discuss tomorrow, with the return of the decade that happened this past Friday night. And we will get into that a little bit later on in the show. And I have Mr. Best jumping into the chat already saying, good evening, OMD. Good evening, Mr. Best. Hope you're doing well. And I will see you here very shortly on the Raw Patrol. But let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Last week was absolutely incredible, coming off of Clash in Paris. And we were still in Paris, France. We had the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, taking on and defeating the Judgment Day's Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. Yes, Roxanne was forced to tap out to the Asuka lock to end this match, but these ladies, they just keep setting the bar higher and higher and higher each and every week, each and every time they go out there. We are starting to see that more aggressive side of Asuka again. Something that sort of comes and goes in spurts. And I'm really intrigued by the dynamic that the Kabuki Warriors have, because you've got Asuka, who is sort of asserting herself, being this authoritarian and trying to direct herself, Kairi Sane and Io Sky, even though they are not a three-woman unit. And Kairi's reaction to all of this, she seems intimidated, and I really don't think she should be. I think she should be stepping up to Asuka here in the near future and saying, no, enough is enough. I'm not putting up with your bullying antics. But this was a fantastic match. We've had Asuka's aggression. Raquel Rodriguez is really starting to deliver. She has come into her own since she came back last year at Survivor Series, I believe it was. And she started to unleash. I know we hear at the Turnbuckle Affiliation program saying that she needed to show something more. She needed to add that mean streak because she didn't seem to show it early on. I've always been a fan of Raquel, going back to NXT and her days alongside Dakota Kai. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, these 4 women absolutely tore the house down. You have the Prodigy in Roxanne Perez showing wisdom beyond her years and showing why she looks more like a 10-year veteran as opposed to a woman who is in her first year on the main roster. You have, as I said, Kairi Sane, who is, yes, as Mr. Best alluded to, she's more torn as to who to side with. But I think she's also showing some intimidation factors on the part of Asuka. And then you've got, it was, these women just knocked it out of the park. What more can be said about these 4 women? I know we are going to see them in action later tonight as well. We will get to that when we get into the preview section. Up next, we had Finn Balor defeating Dragon Lee in yet another clinic. A clinic. The Luchador in Dragon Lee versus the man who has wrestled all over the world in Finn Balor. Distraction from JD McDonough on the outside cost Dragon. And in this case, I don't think it was JD's fault. This was just Dragon taking his eye off the ball and distracting himself by allowing JD's presence to get to him. So he went over, took the shot at JD, which led to Finn taking over and hitting the coup de grace. But again, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about Finn Balor, Dragon Lee, 2 of the best. I hope we continue to get Dragon Lee on our TV screens for the foreseeable future. Potentially even get him into that Intercontinental title picture, and I do hope that that is something that we can build to. We know that Dom has a lot going on right now, and his focus is elsewhere. But I think once those focuses with AJ Styles and El Hijo del Vikingo wrap up, then you can focus on a Dragon Lee. I do not want a rehash of the LWO versus the Judgment Day, which seems to be something that WWE revisits fairly regularly when they are looking for something to do with both of those teams. But I could see Dragon Lee getting into the title picture. I mean, again, you could go with the LWO challenging for the tag titles, but we don't see Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde on our screens very often anymore. They sort of come and go in and out with the wind. So I think WWE there needs to make up their mind as to what you're going to do with them. Do you want to keep them on Raw as part of the tag title picture? Do you want to move them to SmackDown and bring another team over that can help invigorate the tag division on Raw? I know I have a couple of teams that I would love to see make that switch, and we will find out sooner than later, hopefully. Very, very interesting dynamic for a 6-man tag team match that came up afterwards, as we had the New Day, Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, and Grayson Waller, or the Big G, teaming up to take on Penta and the War Raiders. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a dynamic that doesn't actually really fit. But wow, ladies and gentlemen, the youngest man in this match, Grayson Waller, working with 5 pure veterans of the ring, and he absolutely shone. And I couldn't be happier. This 6-man tag was absolutely amazing. It was Penta and the War Raiders coming out when Penta hit the, I'm going to call it the Viking Destroyer, off of the back, I believe, of Ivar. And what a devastating move that was. It was a new twist on a classic move, and I absolutely love it. I know I have really been down on Kofi Kingston a lot throughout his career. I've just never been a personal huge fan of his. I did get caught up in Kofi Mania, I'm going to admit to that. But ever since this heel turn for the New Day, they have been on a new level. And Kofi has really stepped up. Mr. Best coming in saying it kind of reminded him of the old days of WWF superstars when we'd get a random six-man tag with guys that made no sense. Absolutely. You're right. Because I really don't see how Penta and the War Raiders fit together, but it worked. It was fun, highly entertaining. For my match of the night last week, I still have to go back to this point to the women's tag, the Kabuki Warriors, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, but we will see where things go after that. I also want to touch on a couple of key segments here before we get into the remainder of the review portion of the show. Rusev coming out saying he is a beacon in a vignette after his vicious win over Sheamus in that Donnybrook. What is next for Rusev? Let's wait and see. He's another one I would love to put into a mid-card title picture. Personally, if there's one spot for me for Rusev to go, I think he needs to go to Saturday, December 13th in Washington, D.C. at Saturday night's main event and be that guy to retire John Cena. That's just my opinion. That match at Clash in Paris was absolute mayhem. I was there for it. I loved it 100% of the way. Then we get to what happened early on at the PLE from last Saturday, Clash in Paris, where Roman Reigns was written off of TV. So Michael Cole and Wade Barrett told us that, Michael Cole and Corey Graves told us that Roman Reigns had broken ribs from that beatdown from Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. And ladies and gentlemen, the King of Epic Returns is going to make that epic return, and I am going to guess it's probably going to be November for Survivor Series and for War Games. Because of what happened a couple of weeks earlier when Stephanie Vaqueur's title match got postponed from Clash in Paris, we did have Adam Pearce make the official announcement that it will be Stephanie Vaqueur and Io Sky at WrestlePalooza for the title. I really had hoped that they were going to go in a different direction because as much as I love Io Sky and as talented as she is, I think that they need to not necessarily reset the women's division, but give others a chance. Get Rhea Ripley away from that world title scene. Bring Io Sky away from that world title scene and let them work their way back. Let them have a couple of feuds. And it's time to maybe move the Lyra Valkyrias, a Bayley, somebody else into that title picture for the time being. Again, we will get into more on the state of the women's division a little bit later on in the show. As well, back to the matches. Intercontinental Championship being Dominic Mysterio and AJ Styles. And do I need to say it again, folks? What a match. This match, for me, was the match of the night. And it was Dominic Mysterio who once again came out on top due to outside interference from El Grande Americano, our walking Starbucks order. I don't know about you, but the El Grande Americano story is really wearing out for me. I don't know if there's really any true end game to the El Grande Americano story right now. Is this a way for them to turn him babyface by having him help Dominic and then stab him in the back or have Dominic stab him in the back so that then El Grande gets the Intercontinental Championship match? Or does he turn heel and turn Dom babyface by stabbing Dom in the back? For me, there's really, right now, there is no true direct payoff. I'm going to keep watching, see where they go with this. We know we have seen numerous different El Grande Americanos over his tenure, being Chad Gable, of course, Ludwig Kaiser. We've also seen Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate in that role potentially. But where is the payoff? I know for Dom it was huge because it helped him get the victory, hopefully putting AJ Styles in his rear view, now being able to focus on this coming Friday at Worlds Collide and El Hijo del Vikingo. And then do we get Double Down Dom with 2 belts, the AAA Mega Championship and the Intercontinental Championship? I absolutely hope so. I do hope that they actually go to a champion versus champion and even potentially a title for title match. But do we get Double Down Dom? That's my name for him. That's just come up with on the spot here. And then the main event last week, and yes, there is still one thing to touch on from last week. It was another segment, but we'll get into that after we do the main event. As the team known as the Bronsons, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed defeated Jey Uso and LA Knight in perhaps the hardest hitting, most physical encounter of the evening. These 4 men went out there and they laid it all out. This started right off the top of the show when Jey Uso was out and said, no, I can't run it back again. I'm sore. I'm beat up. LA Knight came out and blamed him for not being the WWE champion, or the World Heavyweight Champion, I'm sorry. Which led to then the confrontation because Paul Heyman wasn't loose. Braun and Bronson from the top of the ramp called them out and said, hey, let's do this. Let's have a match tonight. And wow, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, the veteran class being LA Knight and Jey Uso, Braun Breaker delivering the speed and power, Bronson Reed showcasing his experiences from all over the world. Braun and Bronson come out with the win. Now, do we see these two potentially chasing down the tag team titles? Do we see one of them going for singles gold? Personally, I think get the tag team titles on them, even if you have to do a triple threat or a fatal 4-way match with 2 heel teams, 2 face teams. Get these 2 men the belts and let them have a main roster tag team championship run. Where does this leave Jey Uso and LA Knight? I think, in all honesty, this is going to build to something. And I'm going to say this. I think one of them is going to turn heel in this rivalry if that is the way they choose to go. And I, for one, I am hoping that it is going to be L.A. Knight. Yeah. On to the last true major moment of last week, and this was a segment involving Becky Lynch and CM Punk. Punk had called out Seth Rollins wanting one more opportunity, saying that it would never be over between them. Becky came out. Becky came out, got in Punk's face, stating that this issue affects more than just Seth. It affects their home life. It affects their personal life. All of that. She again blamed the crowd for chanting CM Punk's name during her matches, making her feel underwhelmed, at which point she proceeded to slap CM Punk, paintbrush him several times, forehand and backhand, headbutt him in the chest and try and push him. Punk, to his credit, got out of the ring, tried to walk away. Becky wouldn't let him leave. He did not want this situation. He relegated Becky to being just someone's wife, even though he said he didn't want to do it because she is a hell of a wrestler, a hell of a superstar. Gave her the credit, said she's the man, all of this. But in this case, she chose a bum in Seth Rollins. Mr. Best coming in saying he is playing Becky Lynch in 2K25 while we are, of course, talking Becky. Now, we know what that segment last Monday led to, and we are going to, right now, we're going to give you some commercials as to where it's time to go, and then we are going to get into the preview for tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, please let it be known that we do want and need your help here at the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program.
A Turnbuckle Affiliation Program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, videos games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. Monday nights you get the Locker Room Breakdown at 7 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Raw Patrol at 8 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thursday we go TNA when we brace for Impact at 7:55 p.m. Eastern. Friday we secure all details as we answer the call for the SmackDown security detail at 8 p.m. Eastern. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. Eastern. On Sundays be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Boar's Nest at 8 p.m. Eastern. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day.
And ladies and gentlemen, for all that and more, turnbucklestudios.org is the place to be. If you want to get your break in podcasting, content creation, potential collaborations, you want to do your own show, contact us there. There's a place to meet the team, including myself, Chris Best, Chris Parrish, Bubba Duke, and the godfather of Turnbuckle Studios, Carl Carafel. There's a place for you to email us. You can watch our latest weekly episodic shows. This one will be up very, very soon tonight on the website. And there's a place for you to really, in best sense of the word, apply to come and work with us so that we can sit down as a collective with you and figure out where you fit in best. Even if you just want to help us out behind the scenes, as my good friend and friend of the show, the Bulkster, does. And I don't know where his info went. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, turnbucklestudios.org. If it weren't for my friend the Bulkster, we wouldn't have the information and this show probably wouldn't be on the air. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the preview for tonight. We talked about it off the top. We had the return of the decade on Friday on SmackDown from Chicago when AJ Lee came home. I had a tear in my eye. I know Mr. Best did. Bubba Duke was excited. And now we get AJ Lee makes her return to Raw. And ladies and gentlemen, I would not be surprised if this is how we open the show, whether it's AJ and Punk starting the show, whether it's Seth and Becky starting the show, and then we get the Punk and AJ coming out. This is monumental, ladies and gentlemen. And this just shows that you can go home again. We have seen over the last 2 years how much this return to the WWE has meant to CM Punk and how he has really matured as a person and who he is. And he is happy to be there. Now he has his wife by his side. Where do I think they go with this? The reports are out there, ladies and gentlemen, and I would not be surprised if we get the mixed tag team match announced tonight. CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins at WrestlePalooza. This is going to be huge. We heard the roof go off the place in Chicago. Same thing is going to happen tonight. That place is going to absolutely erupt. And I am here for it. Do I think we see physicality in this? Absolutely. There is not a chance that we are not going to get Becky and AJ scrapping it out. We're going to get Punk and Rollins scrapping it out. And this is just going to break down. It is going to be a madhouse. In fact, I think this, as Mr. Best likes to refer to it, it's the one show storyline. I think that is going to continue throughout the show. Becky and AJ, Seth and Punk in each other's faces at all times. There is nothing that is going to keep these four apart. We have a Women's World Heavyweight Championship contract signing between Stephanie Vicaire and Io Sky tonight. Normally, we're not big fans of contract signings. In this situation, both of these women are absolute baby faces. I think this one is going to be nothing but respect. I think there is going to be a stare down, of course. It's going to be tense, but you're not going to see either one of them pull out a heelish tactic. However, I would not be surprised if the Kabuki Warriors find themselves involved in this somehow and try to stick their nose in to try and maybe give Io the upper hand. But I don't think Io is going to buy in, and she's not going to allow for that to happen. Do I think either of these women are going to get put through a table? Do I think there's going to be physicality in this? No, I don't think so. I don't think you need it in this situation. You're going to have enough physicality from the Punk Rollins, AJ Becky situation. And I think that is going to lend itself beautifully to this women's contract signing. AJ Styles and El Grande Americano. I've already discussed the situation on El Grande and where I stand with that earlier. Is this a one-off, or does this jumpstart a feud? Do we see the other El Grande Americanos come in? Do we see Dom Mysterio get involved to help El Grande just the way El Grande helped him retain last week? Number of different ways you can go with this story. And I am very, very intrigued to see how this plays out. Give me AJ Styles for the win in this one, regardless of interference. I think AJ is going to have eyes in the back of his head, and AJ is going to have some form of backup for this situation tonight. The match I am probably most looking forward to, Lyra Valkyria back on our TVs and in the ring for the first time since SummerSlam as she goes one-on-one with Raquel Rodriguez. This match, I think, is going to absolutely steal the show. We've given Rhea Ripley her kudos for working with smaller talent, and I'm talking stature-wise, height-wise. I'm not talking heart-wise, because all of these women are extremely talented, and they can mop the floor with me in the ring. I can guarantee you that. This will be absolutely huge. It's going to give Lyra a sense of direction and somewhere to go. And I was really, really hoping, admittedly, to see Lyra and Roxanne tonight, but I think that's going to be next week's show, and I think that is going to be huge. I think at some point during this next couple of weeks, this is where we are going to see the return of Bayley as well, whether she comes out to assist Lyra or turn heel. This is where I think we need to go. It gives Lyra some direction. It's going to allow Roxanne and Raquel to potentially get themselves into the Intercontinental title picture or back into the women's tag team title picture. And I, for one, am looking forward to another rematch between Raquel, Roxanne, Charlotte, and Alexa, who we haven't seen on Raw since the night after they won the tag team championships. It's also stating here that, yes, Seth Rollins confirmed to appear. We've already covered that. I think that is going to be right off the bat. But now, another huge moment that everybody is waiting for. We've had Punk and AJ, and now we the ones. The Usos are slated to reunite tonight on Raw. This is huge. But I have a question, have they officially moved Jimmy over to Raw? Because before his beautiful bride Naomi got pregnant, there was talks of it. Or is, I put this question out there, do we get it to the point where people like the Usos, Roman Reigns, are in that John Cena realm and can go back and forth between the shows? And personally, I think that I would be okay with that, because they can help each other with the Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed situation on Raw, they can work the MFTs and align with Jacob Fatu and Sammy on SmackDown, and I am great with that. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I had something get caught in my throat there. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, the Usos reunite on Raw. All that and a whole lot more. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are going to look for me on the socials, and I just lost it here because I'm old. There it is. You can find me at my Linktree, linktr.ee/OMD show. The gentleman who has been interacting with me all night, and I will be joining him momentarily for the Raw Patrol. If you want to find him out, check out my good friend Chris Best at Linktree, linktr.ee/Chris_Best83. My partner in crime, Bubba Duke, who is on assignment tonight. You can find him on the socials, YouTube at Bubba Duke Show, and on Twitch at Boar's Nest with Bubba Duke. We do have, as I told you about turnbucklestudios.org earlier, we do have a merch shop that you can go and check out as well, carlcarafel.redbubble.com. You did see the trailer for it earlier. We are going to play it again for you before we get on out of here. But ladies and gentlemen, that does it for me. And just remember, we do want and need your help. So from all of us here at the Locker Room Breakdown, please remember, the world is better with you in it. And to those from all of us here, to those of you out there, wherever you are, good night, good luck, we out.
A Turnbuckle Affiliation program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, videos, games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. Monday nights you get the Locker Room Breakdown at 7 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Raw Patrol at 8 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thursday we go TNA when we brace for Impact at 7:55 p.m. Eastern. Friday we secure all details as we answer the call for the SmackDown security detail at 8 p.m. Eastern. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. Eastern. On Sundays be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Boar's Nest at 8 p.m. Eastern. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day.